Welcome to the last of the Sundays on the Chenrezig practices, and these ones particularly on the Singhanada practice, which has been very intense ever since Geshe Zopa's incredible teaching commentary on how to do the practice. So Steph has actually transcribed that teaching word for word so that we get the oral lineage from Geshe Zopa. And she's just having it checked by Geshe Zopa, and then once it's done, we'll be able to share with everybody that came along. I'm also trying to put together some of the extras into that sadhana, because the sadhana that we've got from FPMT is very, very basic, and so there were the extra bits that Geshe put in, so it'd be good to know the exact order that these go in. Anyway, to get started for today, we can adjust our motivation. We've all no doubt got whatever motivation it was that brought us here today. Often it's quite an immediate motivation, and in particular for the health and well-being of ourselves, our loved ones, the world at the moment, but then extending the motivation out so that it's not just for the alleviation of the most obvious or pressing diseases or problems, but to remove the very root of problems forever. And not just for those that we remember about, but for everybody, all the humans on the planet, all the animals and the unseen beings on the planet, and then all the beings in all the realms. And of course, we can also motivate then in particular for those that we have a karmic connection with, bring their names to mind or their faces to mind. And then we can recite the prayer to generate bodhicitta. So this is the go-to motivation prayer in the Gold Prayer Book on page 229. Hopefully you've got your Gold Prayer Book there just sitting next to your whatever device it is that you're online ready to go, because you know we always use it. So let's recite this prayer together. 229. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. Okay, so today what we were going to focus on was those 3 activities and the 3 mantras. And I just thought I'd kind of go through from kind of start to finish with the sadhana in a very leisurely, relaxed way, so that if you've got questions, we can address them as we go. And so starting off with the altar and what to set up. So the easy, most simple way to set everything up is to have a bowl. So I've got a nice bowl here that's actually easier to tie a kata around. So have a beautiful bowl, something, a precious substance. So crystal or beautiful enamel inlaid, or gold or silver, something that's precious and clean. And then Geshe said to have a kata or some jewels or something to beautify it, ornaments and silks. And then the stem of a non-poisonous plant. So this is a stem from our lemon myrtle tree. I suggest if you're in a place for a while, then plant a lemon myrtle tree. They're really all-purpose and smell beautiful and really nice and bushy. And because it's quite difficult to pour from this bowl, I also have our silver scooper. So some really nice spoon, you can sometimes even get glass spoons or crystal spoons to be able to scoop the water out. Then we have the image of Singhanada. So that's on the altar there, just at the feet of the Buddha. So you have some image of Singhanada. So I didn't have a chance to make a toma, the bull door, but we will one day. But meanwhile, an image or a statue. Then I've also got the vase and with the feather, which I'll bring out soon, but that's kind of behind there on the altar. And then you should have a mala. A crystal mala is best. Any of the Chenrezig practices, a crystal mala, because it looks like the dewdrops of compassion, the cooling dewdrops. Then Geshe recommended 3 sets of offering bowls or minimum 2. So definitely one for the front generation. So that's offered in front of the picture of Singhanada. And then there is another set, you can't quite see it, but it's arranged in a semicircle around the vase. And then if you have Heist Yoga Tantra initiation, then you can also set up a 3rd set of bowls for the self-generation. The water has saffron in it, and so you put saffron in to make it smell really beautiful. It's the most delicate but really permeating smell. And the colour is to be the colour of really good champagne, as Geshe Zopa said. Oh, and what I forgot was 2 spitting cups. Can you get us 2 little cups from reception? Because remember, when we do it's almost like oil pulling. It's divine oil pulling. So when we pull out all of the negativities, you've got to have a cup to spit into if you're the one who's saying the mantras.
So you was talking about ordinary teacups.
Yeah. Then the other things that we can have on the altar that Geshe said, really good to have a globe of the world. So I found a globe of the world. We'll be able to use that. And then if you have photos of people who are sick, so I have a photo of Jordan. She's going to have another little operation on her lip. And if you don't have photos, then you can have the names of people written down. There was something that Geshe said about, it came quite subtly in his commentary, that our gurus, some of our gurus, the holy beings, may manifest illness or manifest a stroke. He was referring, to Lama Zopa Rinpoche, but don't think that they're sick. So you don't have to, you wouldn't do this practice, for instance, on your guru. You wouldn't have the photo of your guru being sick and trying to heal your guru like that, because we see our guru as being Singhanada. And so it's impossible for them to be experiencing any suffering or illness. What they're doing is manifesting illness to teach us. So, Lama Zopa Rinpoche manifested a stroke to teach us about impermanence and about guru devotion and about remembering who the guru is really, not just the person, but the Dharmakaya and the Sambhogakaya. So to just be careful about that. And we don't even say that they have a stroke. We say they manifested a stroke, just so that in our mind we get our head around it. So I think that was it for what goes on the altar. Was there any questions, or is there anything that I've forgotten about what goes on the altar? Of course, the cup doesn't go on the altar. That goes under your desk. All good? Seems like it's all good.
I wanted you to pop under your desk.
Yes, thank you. Oh, can we use a rose quartz? Yes. Yeah, autocorrect's terrible in the chat, isn't it? So, yeah, any form of crystal quartz, rose quartz is fine. What's the other one? Moonstone. Anything kind of reddish or white crystal or pearl. If you have a very small altar, then you can set up extra tables like I have, the little fold-out tables, Francesca, because you have your main altar, say with the water bowls and things. That's probably where you put Singhanada and the row of bowls there. But then the rest is like pop-up altar. So if you have a couple of fold-up tables with a nice cloth, then that's okay. And then at the end you put them away again. If you've got a nice vase with a spout and a large kind of mouth and a skinny neck and a large belly, then keep that vase just for that. Don't use it for anything else. Like, don't go and use it for soy sauce again later on. Oh, so stealth raid for neighborhood gardens. No, 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 because especially this is to do with purifying the environment. If you take someone's tree and they haven't let you, you're just going to compound the problem. So you've got to either ask your neighbors, can I have just a snippet of your tree? Or you're going to have to go get a plant in a pot. But because even even if it's on a nature strip, then it's everybody's. It's not one person's, it's everybody's. And especially because this is to do with having offended the landlords, having offended the nature spirits, the nagas, the elemental forces, then we've got to be really careful of where we procure things. So ask nicely, even in your own garden. Oh. So I was just writing down questions as I thought of them, and one of my questions was, why is it called lion's roar? Geshe didn't talk about that, did he? So then there were the three categories of person who can practice. Those who've had the Singhanada initiation and highest yoga tantra, and you have a specific visualization for you. Then those who've, say, just had lower tantra initiation and Singhanada, and then those who have refuge. So it's a little bit different visualization in different parts of the sadhana, which I'll explain as we get there. But do you know which category you fall into? Is there any confusion or questions about which category you are before we get started? Now, Francisca, what if I don't have everything? Yes, you can use your imagination, but it's really good because this is action tantra to have a physical basis. So even if you just have a new cup, or you can get those little kind of crystal, it's like sugar and milk sets from David Jones, and they're Bohemian crystal. They're quite nice too. They've got a handle and a pouring thing, and you can have it as your little Singhanada set. So just try and use something new or really clean for now, but do try and have a physical representation. Definitely water, because it's quite hard to imagine water. We want to actually have actual water, and then the water's got to be in something. But even if it's just new disposable plastic cups, that's okay. Even if it's a twig of grass, as long as it's not poisonous. And I do remember when Geshe Sering, when we just moved into Longri Tongpa Centre, and Geshe Sering was consecrating the room. Christina, you were there that night, and Geshe was like, quick, give me a plant to consecrate, to do the sprinkling. And so I just grabbed the nearest vase of flowers, and he pulled one out. And of course, they were all plastic. So he did the whole consecration with a plastic lavender stem, and he didn't even know it was plastic. So, as long as there's a basis for it. With the offering bowls as well, even if you just have one offering bowl for Singhanada, one offering bowl for the vase, that's okay too. Even if you don't have an offering bowl, just a new takeaway cup, that's also okay. So the main thing is to have it kind of clean, and then if you can, beautiful. Okay, so we can, does everyone know what category they are? Okay, so if you had Chenrezig empowerment in Sydney, yes, so that's Lower Tantra Anne, and that's just like the Chenrezig initiation that His Holiness gave just a week or so ago. So that is, it's called a great initiation, meaning that it's a full initiation, but it's on that lower Tantra level, action Tantra. So it means that you can self-generate as Chenrezig, when just like everyone who did that initiation recently can self-generate as Chenrezig. Yep. Very good to always ask. Good. Okay, so let's begin the Arya Avalokiteshvara Singhanada. Exalted lions roar, Avalokiteshvara, who dispels all disease. And for taking refuge and generating bodhicitta, then Geshe said a very beautiful visualization is to think all of the females on your left, all of the males on your right, everyone that you're attached to arranged behind, everyone you have difficulties with or are challenged by in front, all the strangers around. So all the sentient beings, all of them who are suffering in so many multitudes of ways. Try and see as many as you can, especially those that you're praying for. And then think that we all take refuge. So what that means, turning our minds for guidance and protection to Shakyamuni Buddha, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Chenrezig, Arya Avalokiteshvara Singhanada. And so the great multitude of enlightened beings in the sky in front, it was a really elaborate, rich visualization of Shakyamuni Buddha and the 8 close disciples and all the lineage lamas, all the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the tantric deities, everybody, your home team. So let's do in Tibetan twice and then English. Oi sangye cheran sogye chonam lai chanchui padui dani kyapsui chi tagi jinsoi kyepe sonam ki trola penche sangye dropa shoi sangye cheran sogye chonam lai chanchui padui dani kyapsui chi Tagi jinsoi kyepe sonam ki trola penche sangye tropa shon. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Reciting the 4 immeasurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. And then the special generation of bodhicitta. In particular, in order to benefit all my mother's sentient beings quickly and more quickly, I must achieve the precious state of perfect and complete Buddhahood. Therefore, I'm going to undertake the practice of Avalokiteshvara Singhanada. And so then usually we do the foundation of all good qualities to really adjust our motivation again. And then if you have the highest Yoga Tantra initiation, then you do the instantaneous generation, the self-generation. If you don't, then not to worry. So just for those of you with Singhanada and highest Yoga Tantra, then you dissolve the inherently existent I into emptiness as it is empty in reality. Your wisdom realizing emptiness experiences great bliss, and miraculously you arise as Singhanada, First, the 8-petaled lotus, and the moon disc, on that the Hri, and then transforming into Singhanada. So this is the reason why we do the self-generation, is to be able to consecrate the vase. And if you haven't got the High Surya Tantra initiation, then you do the visualization first, which we'll do, and then the front generation, Singhanada, consecrates the vase, and you're like the helper, the attendant. So let's do the front visualization. So again, dissolving everything into emptiness, your emptiness wisdom. Dissolving your flesh and blood body into emptiness. Dissolving your grasping itself into emptiness. And from within that emptiness wisdom, there arises an 8-petaled lotus. On this, a moon disc cushion or bed. On this, the syllable Hri, which miraculously arises as Arya Avalokiteshvara Singhanada. So Singhanada's body is white with one face, 2 arms and 3 eyes. At his heart is a white Hri on a moon disc. His right hand rests on his right knee in the mudra of granting supreme realizations. And he leans back on his left hand, which rests behind him on the moon disc. His left leg is extended in the posture of royal ease. He is without ornaments, as a renunciate in the aspect of an ascetic, and wears a Brahman cord. He is seated on a red lotus that's on a tiger skin, riding on a red-maned lion, whose head is looking forward and towards Singhanada. His hair is tied up in a top knot. He's wearing a lower robe of red silks, and a black deerskin covers the left side of his chest. On his right side is a green trident with a white snake entwined around it. And on his left, on a lotus, is a skull cup filled with various sweetly smelling flowers. And on a white lotus that blooms by his ear is a blazing sword of wisdom. At his brow, white Om, at his throat, a red Ah, and his heart, a blue Hum. Okay, so now that we have Singhanada here with us, then to consecrate either the bowl or the vase. So Geshe said, once you consecrate the vase, then you can leave it on your desk. Now I'm just going to get my notes. Everything's Okay. So this is where the first of the mantras comes in, and I will put the consecration mantra into the chat. So those of you who have done Yungnays will recognize this because it's exactly the same. So to dispel any interferences that are dwelling on the offering substances, you recite the Om Pema Tatri Hum Pe, and I'm just going to so you can see up here. And as you recite that mantra, then from either your heart self-generated as Singhanada or from the front generation Singhanada, countless dark red Hayagreevas are emanated, really terrifying, with jade green horse's head, and they go out and they dispel any of the interferences that are residing on the offering substances, on the altar, or on the vase water. So you recite 100. Om Pema Tatri Hum Pe, 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 Om Pema Tatri. So as you're reciting this, then think it's all the spirits dwelling on the offering substances. It's also all of your doubts and neuroses and distractions are banished to the other side of the ocean, disappear. Om Pema Tatri Hum Pe. So that's dispelling the interferences, and then you have your mala and you hook it over the spout of the vase or around the bowl, and holding your bell and dorji. So it's like you're hooking yourself to the vase and consecrating the vase. So then you think that, let's see, a clean, infinite vase adorned with precious ornaments and garments, filled with pure water. On top of the vase is a lotus, a moon disk, and a hree. And from this arises Singhanada, sitting on it, facing you, very lively. Okay. Oh, I forgot to push enter. So with this one of what we dispel to the other side of the ocean is the interference is dwelling on the vase. So we do that before we can consecrate it. Sorry, I forgot to push enter. So Om Pema Tatri Hum Pe was the mantra. Okay, so then the vase with Singhanada on top, very lively, and emanating infinite lights from his body, rainbow-like colours, filled with positive energy, emanated towards you and in the entire 10 directions and all sentient beings. And so you hold your mala on the spout in your right hand, holding the vajra with the bell in the left hand. And so what we're going to recite is the long mantra 3 times and then the short mantra. So I'll put these in now and I'll push enter. So sorry. Here we go. So the long mantra is very similar to the long mantra in Yungne, except for where I put the ... towards the end, and that's where it changes. So in Yungne it would be where there's dara dara diri diri duru duru. Here it's these extra ones instead. So holding the mala with your dorji in your right hand, purifying into emptiness. Om Sobhava Shuddha Sava Dhamma Sobhava Shuddha Hum. Singhanada arising, very lively on the lotus and the moon disc. Infinite lights going out in all directions and towards you, all the beings in all the directions, and into the water, making the water like rainbow nectar. Namo Ratna Trayaya, Nama Arya Jana Sagara, Bharatana Buharataya, Tathagata Arahate Samyak Buddhaya, Nama Sava Tathagata Pe, Arahate Pe, Samyak Buddha Pe, Nama Arya Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattvaya, Mahasattvaya, Mahakarunikaya Tayata Om Akate Bikate Nikate Katam Kate Biriye Swaha. Namo Ratna Trayaya Nama Ayajana Sagara Bharatana Buharataya Tathagataya Arahate Samyak Buddhaya Nama Sava Tathagata Pe Arahate Pe Samyak Buddha Pe Nama Arya Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattvaya Mahasattvaya Mahakarunikaya Tayata Om Akate Bikate Nikate Katam Kate Biriye Swaha. Namo Ratna Trayaya Nama Ayajana Sagara Bharatana Buharataya Tathagataya Arahate Samyak Buddhaya Nama Sava Tathagata Pe Arahate Pe Samyak Buddha Pe Nama Arya Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattvaya Mahasattvaya Mahakarunikaya Tayata Om Akate Bikate Nikate Katam Kate Biriye Swaha. Om Kri, Om Ah Kri, Singhanada Hom Pe, 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 Om. Om Ahri Singhanada Hom Pe. And then Singhanada dissolves into light, which dissolves into the water, absorbs into the water. And the water transforms through the action of Singhanada's qualities to become purifying, clear, healing nectar. So far, so good. Any questions? You feel confident to be able to do that? So at least for when we consecrate the water, to use the long mantra 3 times and then the short mantra 21 times. Geshe Zopa said, and I missed it the first time, but I was only reading the transcript, that because His Holiness, when he gave the mantra to us, we recited it 21 times together, then that's the minimum times that we should recite it. So we can always do more, but that should be the minimum amount of times whenever we recite the mantra. So that's good to know. Then we have the questions. How do you pronounce Rajaya? I'm not even sure where it is. Just how it's written. VY is a bit like in the long mantra. So VY is like B. Buha Rajaya. So not to worry so much with the translation, because this is a Sanskrit mantra and it's been taught to us by a Tibetan, and we're saying it with an English sensibility. So it's a little bit like when you watch a Scottish movie on SBS, they still have to have subtitles, because even though they're speaking English, you can't understand what they're saying. So there's a lot in an accent, but don't get uptight about it. Just try and do the best that you can and say at your own pace. Sanskrit, though, is a lot like French. There's a lot of letters in there that you don't say. They're silent. So with that part, Buha Rajaya. So the Tibetans would say DZ for the J and B for the VY. And what do Queenslanders say? I'm sorry, but I'm saying it in Australian accent, so I apologise. So then we've blessed the water. So now there are the three three action mantras, the activities of purifying. So we would say normally we would do the visualization of the mantra recitation. So let's just do a very short one of this. And then we can do the action mantras. So for the mantra recitation, beams of light emitted from Singhanada's crown, heart, and throat chakras. So this is from the front generation Singhanada. And the light, or on your crown, Singhanada on your crown, and the light enters your crown, heart, and throat. So the light washes down through you and very powerfully purifying all of the negative karma, spirit harms, diseases, that it's nectar, light, energy. And Geshe said when you're reciting the mantra, if you're doing it for others, it's for the others and the environment. And when you're doing for self, it's for your body and your mind. So it's like external environment and beings, and then for ourselves, it's our environment and the mind, you know, the body and the mind. So we can just recite 21 times. Om Ahri Singhanada Hom Pe, Om Ahri Singhanada Hom Pe, Om Ahri Singhanada Hom Pe. Om Ahri Singhanada Hom Pe. Okay, so then the activities. So Geshe spent a bit of time talking about who purifies and who's being purified. And so it's quite a difference between if we are the ones that are representing Singhanada and purifying others, someone there in front of us who's sick, or the photograph, or the people in the world, or if our guru is purifying us. So if we're the one being purified, if it's our guru, we see our guru as Singhanada. That's actual Singhanada purifying us. If we just have the front generation Singhanada, then it is front generation Singhanada who is purifying us. If we're doing the practice for others, then if we have High Surga Tantra initiation, we can say, think of us as representing Singhanada. We're embodying Singhanada for you. So it's coming from the altar through you to the person. And so you can have the people in front of you or all the way around. And so the three activities There's the sprinkling, which also includes the water in the mouth. Also, and the sprinkling can also include washing the various chakras. There's the water in the mouth and the sweeping with the feather or the stem. And then there's the Vajra protection. So let's do the first one. So the action mantra. Actually, I'll put all 3 action mantras in there just in case. So if anyone has been to the all-night Tara Puja, you'll recognise this one, Shinting Kuru Soha. So this is the one to do with the sprinkling of the water, and there were 2 ways to do that. So one was to pour some water into the palm, so to either scoop some water from the bowl or pour some water into your palm. Venerable, would you like some? And then using the ring finger of the right hand, reciting the short mantra and flicking. Now, did Geshe, did he go up or did he go like that?
Not sure.
So I have to, so in my notes it says ring finger. And so what you're doing is you're reciting the short mantra, Om Ahri Singhanada Humpe, and you're tapping and flicking at each chakra, Om Ahri Singhanada Humpe. So at the Om Ah Hum chakras, then you can also do the shoulders, sprinkle around your body, on your knees, on the back, Om Ahri Singhanada Humpe, Om Ahri Singhanada Humpe. He said, or rub a patch of water onto the place of your body wherever there is illness or disease. I always put some on my eyes. Or we can just touch the 3 points or the crown. Om Ahri Singhanada Humpe. And then with the sprinkling the water. So you either have the stem and you sprinkle like flicking, like you've seen many times of the lamas doing. And so you purify your clothes, where you're sitting, the environment, your house. And as you're doing this, you say Om Ahri Singhanada Humpe Shinting Kuru Soha. All the negativities and obstacles, Shinting Kuru Soha. All the sicknesses, Shinting Kuru Soha. All the neuroses and mental turmoil, Shinting Kuru Soha. All the spirit harms and pandemic illnesses, Shinting Kuru Soha. Curses, elemental pollution, pollution of the negative attitudes, broken and impure vows, Shinting Kuru Soha. Pollution to spiritual growth, Shinting Kuru Soha. All inauspiciousness of times, like today is a eclipse, Shinting Kuru Soha. Inauspiciousness of bad dreams or bad omens, Shinting Kuru Soha. All the failures and anything that brings about failure, Shinting Kuru Soha. All the untimely death or the causes and conditions of untimely death, Shinting Kuru Soha. Harm in relation to the Garbo spirits, those who steal your life force, of having, you know, like a terrible disappointment, a really big shock, going into shock, the snatchers, thieves and robbers, Shinting Kuru Soha, bondage of spirits and landlords, Shinting Kuru Soha, whatever obstacles, totally purified, Shinting Kuru Soha. Got it? Questions? So you could actually take your vase and walk around your whole house around all the periphery of your, you know, if you have a veranda or a garden, go all the way through, sprinkling with the water. Shintin Kuru Soha. Doesn't just have to be sitting here. What questions? So if you don't have a HYT, then how you purify others is you think you're like the servant, and it's actually Singhanada who's doing it. There is a transcript coming of Geshe-la's teaching, yes. And that list, that's all in Geshe-la's teaching. Yeah, it's pretty exhaustive, isn't it? I mean, it was fantastic how he said it all. There's more, but wait, there's more. So you don't really have to remember it. What I've been doing is just putting it into various headings so that you've got the 3 action mantras with the 3 actions. So this is the one of the sprinkling the water with either the stem or the vase, and it's also of the circular motion touching the points. And if you like, then you know, as you're walking around the house, Geshe said, you know, if your neighbours don't mind, then you can also be ringing the bell. Shintin Kuru Soha, Shintin Kuru Soha. So that purifies. And he said it's like 98, 99% purified. But there might still be some kind of residual doubt, habitual doubt. So then you can put the vase on the front. He said you can keep your vase on your front table, that's okay. And then the next one, which is the sweeping with the feather or the branch. And the mantra for that, the action mantra, is Apanaye Soha, which I'll put into the chat. And so this is where, if you have the branch or the twig, then you get it in the other direction, and now you're wiping with the leaves. And the Apanaye Soha. And if you have the vase with the peacock feather and the kusha grass, then you're wiping or you're sweeping away. And just like there was the, you know, in the first action one, we had the water in the palm and then we did the flicking. So this time we take a sip in our mouth and then we do the wiping. And so Geshe said, of course, if you're the one who's reciting the mantras, you can't hold the water in your mouth at the same time. So you put the water in your mouth and then you spit it out into the cup. But if there's somebody there that you're helping who's sick, then they hold the water in their mouth the whole time that you're sweeping. So Venerable, you'll need some more.
Yes, I've sprinkled all on.
And so then all of us too will need to take a sip or a scoop and then put it into the cup. So you're thinking that it's got all your DNA and your, you know, auras and vibes and whatever, and it's all the negativity is going to be pulled into it. Okay. So we recite the long mantra and then the short mantra. Namo Rana Trayaya, Nama Ayajana Sagara, Berutsana Buharataya, Tatagataya, Arahate Samyak Sam Buddhaya, Nama Sava Tathagata Be Arahate Be Samyak Sambuddha Be Nama Arya Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattvaya Mahasattvaya Mahakarunikaya Tayata Om Akate Bikate Nikate Katam Kate Piriya Swaha Om Ahri Singhanada Home Fair Om Ahri Singhanada Home Fair Om Ahri Singhanada Home Fair Om Ahri Singhanada Home Fair. Om Ahri Singhanada Home Fair. Then you have your feather and the grass, or the peacock feather with the grass wrapped around it, holding the Vajra in your hand. And then Singhanada, emanating infinite light rays. And the light rays touches the water being held in the person's mouth or the water there in the cup. And the water has the capability to suck all of the negativities that are not yet purified into the water. It draws them all. Just like oil sucks all the other oils into it. So it removes all of the stains. Try to feel it really intense and concentrated. All the sicknesses are sucked into that water, just like magnetized by it. All the negativities in the form of a dark color, blood and pus and smoky and you know, all of those things, all the sicknesses. And so then as you're wiping, then you say all the negativities, all the sicknesses, apanaye soha. So the wiping, all the sicknesses, apanaye soha. You do the same, your chakras, all the illnesses, apanaye soha. All the viruses, apanaye soha. All the environment, apanaye soha. All the pollution, apanaye soha. And think that all of the sicknesses and everything go into that water in the cup or into the water that you're holding in your mouth. And then you can also purify the pitcher. You know, all the illnesses of the cancer, apanaye soha. All the illnesses of COVID. This is Pauline's auntie and uncle, which is, you know, Venerable Chozon's great auntie and uncle who have COVID and are in hospital, apanaye soha. All the sicknesses and virus, apanaye soha. Then also any places in your house where you feel a bit scared, where there's disturbances in the direction of the neighbors that you have difficulties with, apanaye soha. Any objects that have residual emotional baggage, apanaye soha. And then parts of the world, so I'm thinking in particular of Brazil, apanaye soha, and of North America, apanaye soha, and all of the poor Trump supporters having their massive super spreader rally, apanaye soha. And all of those in Australia, apanaye soha, and all of those in New Zealand, apanaye soha, and then all of those in India where they're having, and China, their second wave, apanaye soha, and then all the refugee camps in Africa, apanaye soha, and then the refugees on the sea in Europe, apanaye soha, and the Mediterranean. And all the refugees in Europe, apanaye soha, and so on until everyone is cleansed. So think that all the sicknesses, all the environments, all the pollutions, Apanaye Soha, completely purified. Then, and this is a bit you can't forget to do, at the end of the practice, then you take the water outside and you've got to throw it away into the western direction where the sun sets, so it just dissolves into emptiness. And all of the negativities then are completely purified, beyond returnable, no returns, completely purified, completely dissolved into emptiness. Or if you have an assistant, the assistant can take them out and throw it away. So I thought that would be just the kind of thing I'd forget to do. I'd do the whole thing and then just come back and go, oh my God, there's that cup, I forgot all about it. So yes, perhaps do, thank you. So this is part of the basis of actually physically expelling the negativities from our body, physically expelling the diseases, having them all drawn out. And remember the power of the placebo effect. You know, this is something, this works, it's been proved to work. The placebo effect has actually been proved to work better than most medicines. So there's a huge amount of power of when you go through the motions, it's important that you have the visualization, you have the substance, and then it's actually on all levels, even to a physiological level, incredibly powerful. Okay, so if you've got time to just whiz outside and chuck it in the western direction, do so, but otherwise we've got one more thing to do and then when we finish. So it's up to you. Is it just the cup with the water that you spat out? Yes, that's the one that you go get rid of. This other water in the vase, this is your really holy blessed water that you can keep on using. So it's just the water that came out of our mouth that's like pulled all of the negativities out of our body and into that cup. So what other questions do you have about this second action mantra and the sweeping with the feather? Anything else? All seems good. So, yeah, well, luckily the bell just gets covered in offering and water and all sorts of things. So you do have your bell and dorji in your hand the whole time if you can. And with the feather, yes, Geshe said you have your Vajra in your hand whilst you're holding this, or your Vajra in your hand whilst you have the stem. Oops, whilst you're sweeping. Yep, it's together, the stem and the Vajra. And yes, if you have any tantric initiation, you are permitted to use bell and dorji. Yes. So lower tantra, yes. In fact, in lower tantra, when you do retreat, you're required to use bell and dorji because it's mostly focusing on the physical disciplining of the body to then be able to discipline the mind. So it's important to start using them. Westerly wind blowing it back in your direction. Impossible. No, it just disappeared into the westerly direction before that even happened. Where the sun goes down. Where can we get these implements? Well, Langri Tampasena or Chenrezig Institute. It's nice to get a bell that fits nicely into your hand, that has a nice sound. Or sometimes we have some here that, you know, in puja that you can borrow. It's good to aim to get some. So hopefully we'll be able to open soon and then we'll be able to help. So then, can you buy online? No, I don't know. It's something that you want to ring the bell and actually hear it. So I'm sure we can work something out in a bit, but you want to really make that connection and hear the sound of the bell first. My bell is all I've wound red cotton around it because it blows out the microphone. So I feel like my bell and Dodgy are wearing Ugg boots. Okay, so then the third activity is the protection wheel with the Vajra. And so as with each of these activities, Geshe said to recite actually the long mantra 3 times and the short mantra 21 times. But just because we're going to run out of time, we're going to recite the long mantra once and then the short mantra again. So the long mantra, Namo Rana Trayaya Nama Aya Jana Sagara Bharatana Buharatsaya Tatagataya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Nama Sava Tatagata Be Arahate Be Samyak Sambuddha Be Nama Arya Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattvaya Mahasattvaya Mahakarunikaya Tayata Om Akate Vikate Nikate Katam Kate Virya Swahan. Om Ahri Singhanada Hompe. Om Ahri Singhanada Hompe. Om Ahri Singhanada Hompe. Om Ahri Singhanada Hompe. So with this third activity is the mantra Rakya Rakya, which I'm not sure of the spelling. I have to get this one checked. It could be Raksha Raksha. Geshe said Rakya Rakya. And so with this one, then you think through the power of refuge, of Singhanada, through the power of the gurus, through the power of the mantra, through the power of concentration, by the power of all the deities, by the power of all the 3-pronged staffs, the tridents, by the power of all the seed syllables, by the power of all the ritual elements, by the power of the blessed water, by the power of all of these, you have actualized the blessing of protection. From this very moment onward, nothing can harm you. Then you use the Vajra for protection. And so with this understanding, the deity, Singhanada, dissolves into light and comes down and dissolves into your crown and into you. You becomes one with your heart, becomes oneness as a protection for you. And then using the Vajra, think that we've purified this obstacle, Rakya Rakya. And then you place on the 3 points the crown, purified the body, Rakya Rakya. Purified the speech, Rakya Rakya. Purified the mind, Rakya Rakya. So Geshe was saying you can put like this. On the shoulders, purified, all the vital points, Rakya Rakya. Purified all the cancers, all the illnesses, Rakya Rakya. On the knees, Rakya Rakya. On behind, the kidneys, the 2 points behind, Rakya Rakya. Or you can just simply do on the 3 places, on the Om Ahum, purified all the illnesses, Rakya Rakya. Or then you can just simply do on the crown, purified all negativities and viruses, Rakya Rakya. Purified all hindrances and obstacles, Rakya Rakya. If you're doing for a specific person, then you think purified all cancers, Rakya, Rakya. Many times, Rakya, Rakya. With the Pauline's aunt and uncle, Rakya, Rakya. And with the world, purified all the illnesses, Rakya, Rakya. All the beings in all of the concentration camps, Rakya, Rakya. Everyone in, where are we? Brazil, Rakya, Rakya. Everyone in Australia, Rakya, Rakya. In Queensland, Rakya, Rakya. And so on. And then, where's the verse? Then Geshe said this verse that was, it's very similar to the one in the little pocket Vajrasattva, where Singhanada says, you son of the race, all your negativities, obscurations, and broken and damaged pledges have been completely purified. You're a fortunate child of the caste, or a fortunate son of the race, generating strong faith that you've been purified, just as Singhanada has said. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche said, son of the race, it's not a gendered thing, but it just means that, you know, throughout most of history, the firstborn son was the one that had all the power, all the hopes, was born into that whole lineage. And so we are too born into that lineage, like a firstborn son into this bodhisattva lineage. And so then you say, you know, fortunate child of the bodhisattva lineage, you're completely protected, and then you say the person's name. So Jordan, fortunate child of the bodhisattva lineage, completely protected, Rakya, Rakya, and so on. You say the person's name. So that's the third activity. Questions? I know we've got a little bit over. We've got a few little dedication prayers to do yet. But do you feel confident to be able to do those three activities? So the purification with the sprinkling and the washing with the water. Then the wiping for any residue, wiping away the stains. And also all the different parts of the house. And the drawing the very last bits out in that water, and you dispose of the water. And then the third one, the protection with the Vajra. This particular session today will be up in the members area, yes, but not for anybody else, just for the members. Yep. And then Wednesday night, I hope to be able to lead a similar thing like this as a sadhana with a screen share, and then possibly, if that turns out okay, then that can go up onto YouTube with the other practices to protect from coronavirus. No, the protections from, it's protection from everything in all of them. But when Geshe was talking about what to protect from, he did focus on different things in each one. So with the if we're just doing the mantra recitation without these activities, then it was, we did a lot of that last week, of all the different ways that we have offended the beings seen and unseen, polluted the environment and polluted our inner environment. So we go through all of those, and you can do the sprinkling of all of those, go around your house, all the objects, and then you can go around a second time with the sweeping. Then, so all from spirit harm and interferences, the whole lot is spirit harm and interferences in particular. Either from our activities or polluting the environment or inadvertently taking things that aren't ours. You know, if you've ever picked up anything from a beach or a creek and brought it home again, you could be in trouble. Then what do you do with the leftover water? So the leftover water now is healing water. It's healing nectar. And yes, you can use it daily and you can top it up. And then someone who's sick, you can give them some water to, you know, to drink, and then you top some more water up. You keep the saffron in the vase. Certainly don't just chuck it out. It's healing nectar. To be used. You can put some on your pets, put some for your pets to drink, to use then throughout the day, to, if someone's in pain, to put on the various parts of their body where they're in pain. Yeah, to be used as like a healing balm. What do you do with the branch? So the branch, I wouldn't put it in the rubbish, but they say it's not so good to let the branch wither. So you'll probably have to replace it every now and again so that it doesn't go dry. That's not so auspicious. So then just put it in the garden. And you know, if you're only going to do the practice every week, then you can just use this water. It's good to have a bottle of water in the fridge, just very clearly labeled blessed water. And you just keep on topping it up with this blessed water, and then make more of the water. Yes, same with the bowl of water, that's right. If the water can keep nice and fresh, then you can just keep adding to it so it just becomes stronger and stronger. Can you put the branch in the compost bin? Yeah, I think so, that's fine. It's just not to put it in with rubbish, you know, to be taken out to the tip or anything. Okay. So then, the dedications, a couple of extra dedications from Lama Zopa Rinpoche, which were in the first sadhana and then fell out of the second sadhana and will probably be in the next one. So, dedicating, due to the past, present and future merits collected by us and the merits of the 3 times collected by others, may the most precious, wish-fulfilling thought of enlightenment, bodhicitta, be generated in our minds, in the minds of our family members and all sentient beings. And may that which has been generated increase. Due to the past, present and future merits collected by us and others, which do not exist from their own side, may the I, which does not exist from its own side, achieve full enlightenment, which does not exist from its own side, and lead sentient beings, which do not exist from their own side, to that state by ourselves alone, which do not exist from its own side. May we have the same qualities as Lama Tsongkhapa and benefit sentient beings equaling the limitless sky, like Lama Tsongkhapa, from this second on. And then the long life prayers. I'm not sure if I have those up here. I might. For His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Ojite kandir pendel malupa kan lejon we sampa yijino kadre some tenzing yatsola so dev so turgin lord drosho. For Lamzo Rinpoche. Oi to soi chan chin chan kyo kyo we chen xin kyo pe we kon so do ko sin cho son ko we le mon to dro pa da so do che gon do shap ten shu. And for all of our holy lamas, Oi Chetsun Lame Kutse Rapten Chin Nam Kai Trin Le Cho Choi Ge Pa Dang Lo San Tempe Trome Sa Soim Gi Tro We Mo Sel Ta Tu Ne Gyu Chi. Oh yes, thank you, Maria. I did just think of that. So it's also not in the Sadhana, but Geshe did say, and I had it on my other list over here, right at the end, to dedicate into emptiness, long life, activities, prayers, and purify the mistakes. So we can do that. So it's the Pema Sattva mantra, same as from the Nyungne, and I've got a copy of it here, which I'll put into the chat. Where are we? So with the Pema Sattva mantra, here we go. It's to purify any mistakes that we've made with body, speech, and mind, and to stabilize the blessings. So then, even if as we're beginners, you know, it's a bit higgledy-piggledy and we're not quite sure what we're doing, it's okay. Om Pema Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Pema Sattva Tenopai Tita Jido Me Bhava Sutokaya Me Bhava Supokaya Me Bhava Anarato Me Bhava Savasidi Me Prayata Savakama Tutsame Chidam Shyam Kurohom Ha 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 Bhagavan Savatata Kata Prema Mame Mutra Pema Bhava Maha Samaya Sattva. So thank you, Maria. And are there any last questions or comments or anything at all? We have one more session on Wednesday night at 7. And I might have been able to have put a more coherent flow of the sadhana together by then, but if not, it'll be in the next week or so. Thank you. I hope you feel more comfortable and confident about doing the practice. Do those with the HYT do the dissolution? No, I think we just stay as Singhanada, just like we stay as whatever practice that we're doing. So Singhanada dissolved into us with the protection, into our heart, oneness with the protection. And I might check with Geshe if it's the Singhanada in the vase, the front Singhanada, but pretty much what he said was with the protection, Singhanada dissolves into you, and then that way you get like that inner protection in your heart. So I will ask Geshe about the dissolution, but I'm pretty sure we just stay if we've self-generated as Singhanada. Okie dokie. Thank you so much for coming on this great big adventure, and see you all soon.